Why it's so hard to admit we're wrong. Presented by the Books for Life podcast. Quick question. When was the last time you admitted you were wrong? Be honest. For most of us, those three little words, "I was wrong," are some of the hardest to say. Even when we know admitting a mistake is the right thing to do, it can feel like our whole brain is screaming, "Don't do it." Why is that? Why does owning up feel like such a struggle? In this video, we're exposing 6 reasons behind what's really going on in our minds when we mess up, why we're wired to resist admitting fault, and how embracing our mistakes could be one of the best things we ever do. Buckle up, you might just see mistakes in a whole new way. Number 1. Why our brains hate being wrong. Let's start with a concept called cognitive dissonance. That's the uncomfortable mental clash we feel when our beliefs don't match up with our actions. For example, if you see yourself as a super organized person, but your workspace is such a complete mess that you couldn't find that bill that you had to pay today, your brain freaks out a little. Wait, this doesn't add up. Our brain hates that mismatch, so instead of admitting a mistake, it tries to protect us by coming up with excuses. We might think, "I was just busy," or "It's not that important." That way, we don't have to face the reality that we messed up. It's like a little trick our minds play to save face, and it can happen constantly without us even realizing it. Number 2. The ego shield. Why we'd rather be right. Another big reason it's so hard to admit we're wrong. The ego. Yep, that little voice in our head that says, "I need to look smart and capable." Our ego likes to keep us feeling good about ourselves, so when we mess up, it goes into defense mode. Instead of saying, "Whoops, my bad," we might double down, pass blame, or act like it's no big deal. All to protect that image of being right. But here's the problem. Hiding from our mistakes doesn't really make us feel better. If anything, it just makes us more fragile, like we're walking around in armor that doesn't actually protect us. True confidence comes from being able to admit our faults, not hide them. Number 3. The fear factor. What will people think? A big reason we stay quiet? Fear of judgment. Admitting we're wrong means putting ourselves out there and saying, "Hey, I messed up." And for many of us, that sounds like a one-way ticket to feeling judged or criticized. We don't want to look unreliable or, worst of all, foolish. But here's the truth. People respect honesty. Owning up to a mistake shows courage, not weakness. Most people actually appreciate when we're open about our mistakes. It builds trust and makes us more relatable. So next time you're tempted to hide from a mistake, remember, it's usually way better to own it. 4. Who we think we are. Our identity at stake. Let's talk about something deeper, our sense of identity. We all have certain qualities we identify with. Maybe you see yourself as smart, responsible, or fair. When we make a mistake that clashes with those traits, it feels like a personal attack. Like if you pride yourself on being logical, but someone points out an irrational decision you made, it can really sting. But here's the thing. A mistake doesn't define us. Admitting one slip-up doesn't erase all our good qualities. In fact, when we're able to say, "Yeah, I got that wrong," it actually makes us more well-rounded. We become stronger by being flexible, by knowing that we can handle both our successes and our mess-ups. 5. The illusion of control. Why letting go feels so hard. Ever notice how being right feels like being in control? It's comforting. But when we mess up, that feeling of control disappears, and it can be super uncomfortable. Admitting we're wrong can feel like saying, "I don't have it all together," and that's not easy to do. But here's a twist. True control doesn't come from never being wrong. Real control comes from learning and adapting. So, letting go of the need to always be right actually makes us more resilient. It lets us face mistakes head-on, deal with them, and move forward. It's not about avoiding mistakes, it's about growing from them. Number 6. Emotional investment. When you're in too deep. Let's face it, the more emotionally invested we are in something, a relationship, a belief, a project, the harder it is to admit we might have made a mistake. It feels like acknowledging we were wrong could invalidate all the time and effort we put in. But that's just our mind playing tricks again. Sometimes, stepping back and admitting that an approach wasn't the best is the smartest move we can make. It lets us reevaluate, refocus, and channel our energy into something better. Growth isn't about clinging to old mistakes. It's about having the courage to take a new path when needed. Why always being right isn't all it's cracked up to be. Alright, so let's get real. Always needing to be right can mess things up. It can strain our relationships because, let's be honest, Nobody likes hanging out with someone who never admits they're wrong. Being willing to see other perspectives builds trust and makes us better friends, partners, and colleagues. Plus, when we cling to being right, we miss out on learning. We can't grow if we're too busy defending ourselves. And get this, insisting on being right can create a fake sense of power. It might feel good in the moment, but in the long run, it can make us look insecure. Real strength is in being able to say, "Hey, I made a mistake, and that's okay." That's what people actually respect. Tips for getting better at admitting mistakes. Alright, so we know it's hard to admit we're wrong, but here's how we can get better at it. Recognize the feeling. Notice when you feel that tension, like your heart racing or your mind scrambling for excuses. That's a sign you're feeling cognitive dissonance. Just pause, take a breath, and try to see what's really happening. Question your excuses. When that little voice starts saying, "It wasn't my fault," or "I was just trying to help," ask yourself, "Am I protecting my ego?" Recognizing this helps you see the truth without judgment. Remember that people forgive. Most people actually appreciate honesty. When we own up to a mistake, it shows we're confident enough to be open, which is a huge sign of strength. People respect that more than pretending to be perfect. Adopt a growth mindset. Think of mistakes as opportunities, not failures. With a growth mindset, every slip-up is a lesson, not a setback. It's all about growing, not proving we're flawless. See mistakes as stepping stones. Every time you own up to a mistake, you're learning. You're not just avoiding awkward situations. You're building your confidence and resilience. So, next time you feel the urge to hold your ground just to save face, remember it's okay to be wrong. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong enough to face reality. When we embrace our mistakes, we grow, connect, and ultimately, we become better versions of ourselves. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, subscribe for more insights, and maybe share this with a friend who could use a reminder that it's okay not to be perfect. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.